Hey, this is Sandy.
And Randy.
And we're here on AT Corner.
Being an athlete trainer comes with ups and downs, and we're here to showcase it all.
Join us as we share our world in sports medicine.
Welcome back to another episode of AT Corner. For this week's episode, we have a set of stories of something that either will for sure happen to everyone in their career or has already happened to everyone in their career.
That's true. And that's first time calling EMS. There's a first time for everything.
Yes, there is.
So this is a request, which is so exciting. We love requests from Sierra C. She says, I was listening to this podcast. The episode she was listening to was So You're About to Be Certified, which is episode 211. And she says, and I am new. It got me thinking about what other ATs had for a first experience calling EMS and their thoughts and feelings about it, how they decided it was necessary, etc.
Nice.
So it got us thinking. And I feel like we talk about our first times calling EMS. Like I talk about my first times at each job.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I often think about the very first time I called EMS as a certified.
I know, I'm trying to think. I think as the years go by, I kind of forget. I think I've forgotten which one was my actual first time calling EMS.
Probably working per diem.
It was probably working per diem. I remember this was one of the first. I don't think it was the first, but
Was it soccer?
no, it was the story I'm thinking of was basketball. Kid, like there was like 50 courts. I'm like the only athletic trainer.
That's how per diem works.
Yeah, this kid. Yeah, at that point, I actually decided I'm not doing this. Apparently, this kid like took a charge, hit the back of his head on the court, so they brought him over. And this kid had like nystagmus. I'm like, yeah, you need to go to the ER. Like
really bad nystagmus?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Ugh. I wonder if that was normal for him or.
Yeah, I mean, hard to tell, right. Especially with per diem. But like the mechanism's there, he's already kind of out of it, and you have a cranial nerve deficit. Yeah, you need to get this.
How come we didn't talk about that on our cranial nerves podcast?
Probably forgot about it.
That's funny. So this is a tough one because I don't know what like I worked a job where everything was on site. So like I can't talk about this too much because I can't talk about where I worked, but the fire department and the nurses and the physicians and everything was on site. So if we needed to, like if there was an emergency, like we would call the nurses or the fire department or whoever. And so like, but we call them on the radio or the telephone.
Yeah.
We called our extension. And so like technically it's not calling 911.
But it's still
I guess it is EMS. So if you count that one, then my first time calling EMS as a certified was for a cranial nerve deficit. Yeah. She couldn't swallow, but it was I keep wanting to say cranial, a cervical spine injury that ended up being a spinal cord contusion, which actually also my second time calling EMS was also for a spinal cord contusion.
Yes.
But that one was in football. The first one was in a performer. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Both of those. I mean, technically, what do you call calling EMS? Because technically, I don't think I called in either of those situations.
But did you make the call? They're like, hey, we need a call.
The first time I was with another certified.
So
the second time. Actually, just kidding. There was the day before I thought was the second time. So the day before, actually, we called for EMS for another neck and head injury. Dude, they just follow me. But
well, you work football.
It was also football. But I was with another certified. And then the third time, I guess, technically, I made the call.
You did make the call, but another certified was there.
On the sideline, which was you. But you weren't working.
No. But I helped log roll this kid.
But I remember actually, and every time I remember the story, this is like I remember this the most. I remember holding C-spine and looking up at this, and I know exactly, I'm not good at faces. Like, I'm way better at names. I look at this coach. This is my first day at this job, and I remember exactly what he looks like. He's young. He has brown curly-ish hair that is like, comes down to maybe his like chin, almost his chin. Mm-hmm. I remember looking him in the eyes and saying, call 911. Like, I remember that. And I feel like I don't really remember details like that of my other like EMS calls.
Yeah.
But I specifically remember looking at this kid. Yeah. He was young too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the most at least memorable one was my AVM kid. But we also had the EMS on site.
Oh, yeah.
So we just had to tell them, hey, come here.
Right. One of the first questions I asked on our Instagram stories was, do you remember your first time calling EMS? And 88% of people said yes.
Wow, nice.
6% said parts of it, and 6% said no.
I don't know if the 88% is like, oh, nice, or like, ooh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Traumatic.
Yeah. Niky G says, hi, my first time calling EMS was because I had 2 girls soccer athletes go head to head. The visiting player ended up getting about a 2-inch long laceration on her forehead. Her coach called 911, and afterwards I get called over to my team where one of my athletes is having a seizure.
Oh, no.
Thankfully, I had known about her seizure condition, but it was my first time seeing a seizure in person. Thankfully, and everyone ended up being okay, but I got a 2-for-1 on my first EMS call.
Wow. Actually, yeah, seeing a seizure like in real life is pretty trippy.
It really is. Like, I feel like you can only prepare for it so much.
Yeah.
Until you actually see it and you're like...
I mean, there's also like, you just kind of wait.
Mm-hmm.
You just make sure they're okay. Like, make sure they're not going to hurt themselves.
Just don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Clear the way so no further harm.
Yeah.
So, I also asked who called 911. Most people, 47%, this is actually not what I expected. 47% of people said I called.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
I'm trying to remember, like, when I have been the one talking to the operator, and I feel like it doesn't happen that often. Like, I feel like I can probably count on my hands.
Well, I feel like if you're the person managing, like, it's really hard.
And I think that's the thing is I used to work a lot on my own. And I would just get a coach. Like, I mean, anyone can call 911. Like, granted, you want to pick someone who's not gonna freak out. But like, if there's someone standing around and they're being calm, like, and honestly, like, depending on where you're at, I feel like there are also places where people just call 911 before you, like.
Oh yeah, that does happen sometimes.
Yeah, right. Which you're like, just hold on, I got it.
You didn't need to do that,
right? The next biggest percentage was 20%. They said a coach called, which is actually what I kind of expected to be the highest. 18% said someone else called, and 15% said another AT called.
I mean, yeah, everywhere I've been, it's always been like another staff, like our admin, or when I was doing D1 stuff, it was the facilities person. So because they ran the facility for the event, they would call. So in a situation, they would come over to us. We would tell them to activate EMS, and then they would activate. So yeah, I feel like never have I activated my own, like me actually call EMS on something I'm managing. I've always handed it off like, I need you to call.
Yeah. Like, I've had other ATs like screenshot their phone log and it says like 911 called. And I'm like, first of all, what the hell, with no context.
Yeah.
But second of all, I don't think it's really, I'm not usually the one to do it.
Yeah, because like if you're managing it, it's really hard to be making sure the athlete's all right, and then like trying to answer these questions on the phone
Right.
for EMS.
Right. That is something that we prep all of our students, like on our EAP. It has a little, I don't want to say script because I tell everyone it is not a script. It has an expectations of what information you should have ready. And then we just tell them, like, just go off their protocol because they have their flow chart in front of them and they're going to keep asking you the same question over and over and over again until you answer it. And something that people get tripped up on is what is the age of the patient. And that when we prep everyone for like, okay, we're working with college athletes. How old do you think they are? You can say college athlete, college age. You can say 18 to 22. You can say, if you're working with someone in the stands, you could be like middle-aged man, middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
You're working with a grandma. You can say grandma. They're going to know, like, it's not like they have no idea, right? Like, they deal with people who are freaking out. You just have to have a generic idea so they know that if they're showing up for an infant or if they're showing up for someone elderly.
Yeah. It's like when you're asking your history and they're not answering your questions. That is super annoying. So
especially in a time crunch.
It's the same thing for them.
Right.
Just yes, I got that. Just answer this question first and we'll get to that one.
Right. There was one more that I prep people on. Oh, we tell them to start with, we are at this place, we have a medical emergency at this location.
Nice.
And then stop talking. Do not say anything else.
Let them talk.
Because they'll probably transfer you. Because it's different if you have like a fire emergency or like a car accident or like something else.
Yeah.
So medical emergency at this location, done.
Also, it does depend like how your system's set up. Because at one of the universities I worked at, our 911 was actually patched in, like it went directly to our police station on campus. So it wasn't
what do you mean? Like when you called from a landline?
No, even from cell phone.
Oh, really?
Because it knows you're where you're at. So when you dial 911 on this campus, instead of going to, in California, it goes to Sacramento basically. Mm-hmm. Ours would be directed straight to the police station on campus.
Oh, that's really fast. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the response time. And it also helped that there was a fire station across the street.
We had one of my locations was we had radios that would go directly to, and then one spot, our campus police had radios that would go directly to the city.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And our fire department was really close.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, our fire department. You want to read this gem from Jen?
Yes. So Jen says, okay, so I'm traveling back in time to the first time I called EMS. Back when there were horse-drawn carriages and cobblestone streets. It was for hockey, and I think it was only my second season covering hockey. Now, mind you, I came up through the internship route and did the majority of my hours in Florida. So not a lot of hockey played there. Mid-ice collision, athlete was splayed out, supine, thank God, but not moving. Yeah, it never happens that way.
No.
No loss of consciousness, but was complaining of neck pain and some tingling and diminished grip strength in his hands. So it's off to the races we go. That's
like red flag. Also, I think my second neck injury was supine, like perfect in position. Yeah. It was like unconscious, but supine.
Yeah. Just perfect. We're on a professional sized rink, so luckily there was the big Zamboni door where the ambulance could back in. EMTs were looking at me holding C-spine, half a sheet of ice away, and started conversing amongst themselves. I looked at the coach. What are they doing? Coach says, this crew is kind of new. Oh, no. Jen says, oh, fantastic. Side note, I live in central New York where it's winter 6 months out of the year. How do they not know how to deal with icy surfaces?
Oh, gosh.
They finally get out there with one of them needing help from my players. Kid gets boarded, C-collared, and off he goes. Luckily, everything was fine, but we still had 1.5 periods to play. I had the adrenaline dump about 10 minutes later when my coach comes and asks, how are you doing? That was scary. And then he looked around helplessly as I teared up because, well, let's just say my coach doesn't do well with tears. There's nothing worse than getting a new crew to respond to your emergency. Because I've seen that.
But on the ice.
And yeah, that's awful. But
I mean, granted, I would not know what to do on the ice. Like, I would be like, can someone help skate me out, please?
We had a crew put the BVM upside down. We had to tell them, hey, just...
Yeah, like an infant.
Yeah, just turn that bad boy. And then they proceeded to leave their
They left all of their emergency supplies.
I think they were a little frazzled.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ready for cross country to have an emergency.
No. They're like, oh, it's going to be an easy day.
Yeah, just going to chill in the rig.
Probably some asthma.
Yeah.
How calm did you feel during your first EMS call?
Feel or what actually came out? Because I feel like what comes out, you probably don't know, but you're actually probably the most calm one there. But I feel like on the inside, you're like, oh no.
It's like, yeah, you're like racing through.
Yeah.
Like, am I doing the right thing? So I did this as a slider on Instagram, and one side was total panic and one side was calm as a cucumber. But most people actually did put more towards that calm focused.
Yeah.
So they did not only hold it together, but also feel mostly calm inside. But the adrenaline dump is really when people afterward. And we do talk about that in a second. Hayley S says, during the call, I felt okay. Adrenaline was definitely rushing, but I felt good knowing that I made the call. Mm-hmm. After is when I spiraled, and then I felt I did everything wrong. Yeah,
usually I feel like pretty locked in.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to explain it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I just feel locked in, like, it's what we're trained to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like you know what to do in an emergency. So I don't know. I feel pretty locked in. I think after like an emergency, I feel mostly kind of just like tired.
Mm-hmm.
Like afterwards, like I'm like, all right, we're done for the day, right?
Yeah, I still have to be here. What do you mean?
Yeah, like we're done, right?
So we did actually do an episode on this, a whole episode, and it actually is probably one of my favorite episodes that we've ever done. It's an episode specifically on the adrenaline dump after responding to an emergency. Yeah. It's number 135, and we did it way back in 2023. So check that out if you haven't already.
Oh, really? That long ago?
I know it doesn't seem like that long ago, but and actually, I was just listening to part of it, and you said the same thing. I mean, you're consistent. Obviously, it's you, but you talked about how you get tired like after.
I'm glad it's
and
consistent.
Just like it's like mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
So I did also ask, do you get an adrenaline dump afterward? 78% of people said yes. 22% said no. So those 22% of people, I don't know how you guys don't. That's kind of crazy. That's great for you. Crazy.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, I just called 911 recently, and maybe it's because, I mean, I haven't called 911 in like, we talked about this on the podcast. Like I haven't called 911 in like the last like 2+ years, which like knock on wood, that's awesome. But then
the football game's coming up.
But then I just recently called and I didn't have an adrenaline dump afterward. So maybe like that's what but it was also something that was like so not emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was, maybe my adrenaline wasn't going in the first place for it to dump.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And like Hayley S said, like feeling like you did everything wrong afterward. That is totally...
Yeah, that's hard.
I feel like that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I think you should always...
It's like a self-reflection.
Debrief.
Right.
And be like, what could be done? Like, what was done well? What could have done better?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like everything was done wrong. It's a terrible feeling.
It is a terrible feeling. And that's why you debrief, which we do talk about debrief. But in the adrenaline dump actually episode, we talk about the differences between like how different people respond to, and like how some people get like an emotional response, some people get a body response, some people get a thinking response. And I will always be a sucker for adrenaline dump stories. I think like I think it's so fascinating to see how people respond. So I did put a bunch of them in, starting with Nick. He says, I didn't know this was going to happen the first time, but now that I know, I'm more prepared and can adjust better. Usually just stepping away for a second after it's all done and handled and taking some deep breaths or making a call if I need to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've definitely been on the end of a call of someone going through an adrenaline dump, and like sometimes all it is like, hey, can you just be on the phone right now?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, just sharing space.
Yep.
If that's what you need to do, or like if that's what grounds you, or whatever you need to do. Once you find something that works.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to read this one by Robert M?
Yeah, so Robert says, okay, first time calling 911, I was a second year certified. A kid got hit from behind in a middle school football game. I remember hearing his scream, running out there, seeing his leg pointed one way and his ankle another. Yeah, that's not good.
Mm-mm.
I turned to my coach to tell him to grab my splint bag, and I go to activate. While doing this, I'm cutting off his cleat and socks. We vacuum splint him up. A coach grabbed ice to put on the exposed skin, and per dispatch instructions, we waited maybe 10 minutes in the middle of the field. They carted him off, and we went back to the sideline. I look over to the scoreboard while getting some applause from the parents, and it's only the start of the second quarter.
Oh my gosh.
The post-911 rush is real and hit me hard. I eventually debriefed with a superior days later, but I remember feeling so tired and worried about having to get through 3 more quarters.
That's like what you were saying.
Yeah. Luckily, it was a smooth game from there on. I did remember thinking it's weird that people treated me like a hero for a few weeks when all I did was put a splint on that kid. From his 7th grade year to the day he graduated, that kid gave me a hard time about cutting off his lucky socks. That call was 8 years ago, but some moments feel like yesterday,
I don't think those sounded too lucky.
Yeah, those don't sound lucky anymore. Yeah, that actually does bring up an interesting scenario about emergencies, because like for you working football, like you tend to have a staff with you, at least like capable hands with you, whereas a lot of times in my situation it's kind of just me.
Well, I didn't used to.
Yeah, no. You worked football by yourself sometimes.
And both sidelines.
Yes. But like for me now, like a lot of times I'm like kind of the only one, for some of the games. So it's like, it does kind of make it interesting. Like it does somewhat differ on how something we're going to treat. Because sometimes I don't bring the splint bag, because it's like, if something happens, like I don't have anyone capable to splint this while I stabilize. Right. So it's like, I'm kind of just going to wait till EMS gets here, stabilizing.
And monitoring the kid.
And, yeah, of course. Yeah, we're not just going to sit there and do nothing. Right. We're going to stabilize and make sure the kid's okay. I
just had a kid just recently who was like in and out, like literally like about to pass out, like in and out. Yeah. And we were joking about it afterward, and he's like, I remember you looking at me and being like, keep your eyes open, look at me, focus on me, stay with me. And he was just joking about that. He's like, that's all I remember.
Damn straight. You know you're going to remember that.
I know. He's like, Miss Sandra.
You're not going out, okay?
He's like, Miss Sandra, I could just hear your voice.
That's right.
I was like, good. That's what you need to be hearing.
That was the point.
Catherine G says, I still get an adrenaline dump. It's why I always carry gummy bears in my kit. I have vasovagal syncope, so whenever we have a big injury to manage, afterwards I will have a straight up blood sugar crash. So I keep gummy bears with me to snack on after to keep the blood sugar at bay. And it works for the athletes too. Ironically, the first time was during anatomy class in high school. It also happened in a cadaver lab once, trying to do surgical observation and after a few piercings. Solid reason I did not go PA. It never happened at work though, but it's helped make me a much better preceptor for student athletes going through the initial stages of syncope.
Yeah, true.
Honestly, I think it's the Johns Hopkins methods, right? That you learn best if you do things on yourself, right? Don't you? That's Johns Hopkins, right?
Sure.
I think it is.
I don't know.
I have to look it up.
They did pioneer a lot of things.
But I really try to do that a lot with myself and with my students. And I'm like, oh, like you can't just learn about sim. You have to put it on and you have to try it out. And you know.
When we were students, we tried, especially like modalities, we tried it all the time. And
some things, like obviously you can't like pass out to see what someone's going through, but
you could try.
But if you have yourself, like that is such a valuable piece that I think people like that experience, like that personal experience, I think people don't realize. And so when you have someone who's gone through something and or like if you personally have gone through something, like it is, that connection is so valuable. So this is a really cool like connection that she shared. For sure. Even down to like, I know this is extreme, but like even athletic trainers who have like torn their ACL, I think can really connect with the athletes who've torn their ACL a lot better than someone like, I have never torn my ACL. So like I can, there's like a limit to like, I don't know actually what you're feeling. Not that I want to insert my experience, but like, I don't have that perspective from a primary source, like from myself. I only know what people tell me. Although you do have like, you can see what other people have gone through, but like you don't know what it is like showering after surgery or like stuff like that. You know, it wasn't until I got like stitches on my knee that I was like, ugh. This is an inconvenience. Oh, yeah. You want to read Karina G's? Yeah, Karina says, happened in a third quarter of football. The game continued on to finish. It was okay that night, but the next day, was not expecting it, never knew it was a thing. It felt like the worst hangover, just feeling emotionally and physically drained. I was good through our debrief after the game. Outcome was good, a bad concussion, but it was my first C-spine EMS. It wasn't until I woke up the next morning that my body felt so bad, even though mentally I was okay. I haven't felt it since. I think mostly because I haven't had as much quote-unquote serious injuries. Broken bone EMS calls are not as stressful since they don't involve spine, lol. But also the experience and confidence in my setting and proving to myself I can do it has allowed me to treat freely and trust my instincts. That's the important part, is trusting your instincts, trusting your findings, trusting your skill. Until afterward, and then you don't trust anything. Yeah. There have been multiple calls that I have done everything that in the position I was in with the information I had. Yeah. I made the correct call, but afterward I'm like I've had a C-spine that has come back just as a concussion. Yeah. I shouldn't say just as a concussion, but like no fracture and no spinal cord involvement. And you know, in my head, those like you take so hard, but really like if they're having bilateral numbness and tingling and they're having trouble moving their neck, like what would make you clear that? Yeah, like what would make you not call 911? Well, the position statement says that is a medical emergency. Exactly. So you have to give yourself the grace, perspective that at the time of the decision that you're making, you are making the best decision with what information you have available. Yeah. And hindsight is not fair. I mean, that's what I tell my students all the time about like just something as simple as fracture. Like there's a plenty of people that beat themselves up that they're like, oh, I sent a kid for an x-ray. It wasn't even a fracture. But it's like, that's the whole point of sending them for an x-ray. Yeah. Your clinical findings, you were worried about it. And then also too, like think about like from the doctor ordered it too. Mm-hmm. Right. It's just, they have like, if you go see a doctor, they're always going to order an x-ray. It's because they get to have all this information available to them. So there's like, they're making a call based on information. You're making a call based on a clinical diagnosis, like just what it feels like. So there's nothing wrong with that decision. I mean, even like I've texted an athletic trainer who I was taking care of their athlete because they were the visiting team And I texted the athletic trainer and said, hey, I am sending this person for a fracture. I don't think it's fractured, but there are way too many things that I just can't let it walk away.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't fractured, like it was still the right call to send.
Oh, 100%.
So, and that person, that athletic trainer responded, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Because that's really how athletic training is.
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself that.
Yes.
So something that I actually noticed in all of these stories that we're sharing is with the adrenaline dump, people are saying like they just didn't know it was going to happen or it wasn't expected. And that was something that I had the luxury of knowing, not beforehand, but like as it was happening. My first preceptor, when we had called 911 for the first time, Hayley, she kind of looked at me and she was like, hey, it's normal for you to feel like jittery. It's normal for you to feel shaky. Like you'd had a lot of adrenaline rushing and now it's going to dump. And like, it's normal for you to feel the things that you're feeling, even get a little bit of emotional if that's how your body responds, or feel tired, like you were saying. And so like, I feel like I wouldn't have known that. And now that she kind of prepped me for that, like whenever we have a situation, like I try to also prep my students with that and give them that little piece too, which I think is why I just really like hearing these adrenaline dump stories, because like everyone says, it's just not talked about enough. Although something that is talked about a lot that I think not a lot of people do, but they talk about it, is debriefing with someone after the event. 63% of people said they do debrief with other ATs or mentors. 20% of people said they did not debrief at all. So that's like 1 in 5.
Yeah.
11% of people said they debrief with someone else, like, and 6% said with my non-AT friends.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of places too, that's kind of built in the policies and procedures that says if this happens, there'll be a debrief. So I've been on both sides of that. Like when I had the athlete with the AVM, right? I debriefed with our head AT about the process.
I've never seen that in.
Yeah. Huh. And then on the flip side, being a director of sports medicine, I've had to debrief with my staff after they had, I think it was a tib fib fracture. I remember you. And they managed it perfectly. They did a great job, and in a chaotic environment, by the way. Like it was great. How it was described, it was very chaotic, and they did a great job. So I've been on both sides.
How do you usually lead that?
I think for that one, I first checked in on them because they messaged me when it happened. So I think it was, I don't think we did it the next day. Maybe it was a day or two after. But again, I just reiterated to make sure they were okay. Like, hey, how are we doing? Right. And then I just asked them, okay, just walk me through kind of what happened. And they kind of did. And from my perspective too, because where we were at, again, we don't have our own facilities. So like everywhere is like, yes, we go to some facilities that are the same, but they're not ours. And then I think actually this game was located at a facility that we are not used to. So it's also getting their perspective, what worked, right? What went well, and then what made it harder for you to do your job. So that's really what it was. So I hope it never comes I hope no one thinks of a debrief as critiquing what happened.
Well, I think you should always have some level of self-reflection. For sure.
But I hope it, from my point of view, in that position, I didn't want them to feel like, oh, we're grading you, we're judging you. Right. I want to know.
You're not in school anymore.
Yeah. I want to know, well, one, if there is something we didn't do, let's address, okay, maybe we should be doing that. But also, what made it hard for you to do your job? Because I'm trusting you're certified. You should know how to do your job. I trust, the BOC has trusted that you know how to do that.
Right.
So what was a barrier to you doing your job to the standard that we feel we should? So that's what it was. And also too, let's praise good work. what went well?
You just did something really scary. And actually, that's what I was going to say is we were talking about how Robert M said it just felt weird for people to call them a hero. But honestly, to a normal person, like even though like we just normalize that like when people get hurt and there's a scary situation, we have to run towards it where normally people would run away from it. And I think that's what's so comforting for like the layperson is they don't want to have to run towards that. And so like in a way to them, like it's all perspective. You are a hero for them as they don't want to have to deal with that. And so they're praising you for having to deal with something that they didn't want to deal with. So even though it seems like you just put a splint on, like you managed the situation, like you were calming the student down. You were that person who
kept everyone else organized.
Yeah. You were the person who was there for that athlete in that situation that they needed someone the most.
Yeah. Also, you made it easier for the next responders because the situation's calm. You splinted that injury, right? So if say the kid needed surgery, well, now the surgeon has a nice, cleaner, stabilized fracture that they get to work with. So key component, key contributor.
So going back to this debrief idea, a lot of people say that they have different people they debrief with. Nick says, I tend to call my wife first, and then I'll try and talk with a mentor or colleague. And Hayley S says, yes, I called my co-AT and debriefed with my AD. I tend to spiral thinking I could have done something differently or better, but they all reassured me that I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I definitely go into that thinking spiral that's like, oh, why did I call 911? Why did I do this? Like, that was such a bad decision. Like, why did I make all these decisions that were so bad?
But they're not.
No, now I can like get out of that and be like, oh no, like that was actually good. But I think in the moment I'm like, am I being dramatic?
Yeah. Am I the drama?
Am I the drama? But usually it's like calling you and being like, dude, I just did this.
I would say, yeah. Usually that's my first call too, is my wife. My love bug.
Yeah. One time actually, Randy calls me in the middle of the workday and I don't remember what I had to tell him, but like I answered the phone and like I was like, hey, how are you? And he's like, good. How are you? And then I was like, I just talked for like 5 minutes about something, and then I stopped talking, and then he was like, so I just C-spined for the first time, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
what's this?
What? And I was like, do you really just let me talk for 5 minutes before you interjected to say that you just held C-spine?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah. And then he told me the story, which was not the first time he's called, but the first time he's held C-spine and kind of unexpected in the middle of a work day.
Yes.
Which I guess was technically...
It was weight room.
Yeah.
We were just lifting. Right. Which, I mean, granted, like things can hit the fan in lifting. But
right.
Again, when you're thinking like athletics, it's not the one area that's... I guess it is. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, no. Weight room is dangerous.
It's really dangerous.
Or not.
Fractures, dislocations.
It could be dangerous.
People pass out all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
How prepared were you for your first time calling EMS? I put the slider between wish I were more prepared and very prepared. Most people put it more towards pretty prepared, which I was I was really proud of.
See, that just goes to show you. Like the saying's true. When you pass your BOC, the BOC trusts that you can keep someone alive. Mm-hmm. So you should theoretically feel prepared.
I think the first time I couldn't really honestly answer this for you because I was with another certified. I think I just was, and they were like calling shots. I think I just was playing so much off of them, and obviously like too many cooks in the kitchen, like you don't want. So like, you're at the head, but I think with that, it made me feel like I wasn't prepared. Mm-hmm. But then having that same experience like later and then another time like right after that, I think those also helped me feel more prepared. And like, obviously the more you do it, the more you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is, I understand.
Yeah.
Now I have this experience to back up on. Alberto H says, not at all. It was my first time covering an event on my own. I did not get told the EAP even after I asked for it. They just told me to call 911 if anything happened and that EMS knew what to do, which clearly wasn't the case.
No, that's never how that goes.
However, I did manage the situation properly. It was more the fact of not knowing the EAP. Now, with any job, even if it's per diem, I always ask for the emergency action plan, my point of contacts, and I always introduce myself to the referees so they can know who I am in the event of an emergency. They can assist as well as the coaches can too.
Nice.
Which I think is really important. I feel like people overlook this. This was like my saving grace in per diem. Like, you got to know what to do when shit hits the fan. Like, it doesn't matter if like you take 30 minutes with a ankle injury, like on the sideline, doesn't matter. But like, when you're in an unfamiliar place, like I remember when I was working high school basketball that I was contracted out for, we didn't have our own facilities at the time because they were building them. And, we would be at this facility that, literally right next door, like it was in the same building, but it was like outside of the gym. You just turn the corner and there's a pool. And like every single day I would walk over to the little front desk area because it was like a community pool, I think. Mm-hmm. And I'd walk up and I'd say, hey, I'm the athletic trainer. I'm working for this place next door and we're having a basketball game. I just want to know if I can use your AED if I need it, because
I might
need it. And because ours in the gym was locked because it was after hours. So things like that. That's like, what are you going to do if, so like every single time. And I'm like, I don't like, hopefully we're not going to need it. And hopefully you're not going to see me again. However, I need to know if
I can get there.
Yeah. Because that is something that would, sit with me for the rest of my career, for the rest of my life. That's like, man, I just wish I would have gone over and asked the question,
Yeah.
Something else I asked was, what is something you did really well your first time calling EMS that you're proud of? And I actually really was excited about these because like you were saying, like we have to praise the things. It's so easy to be like, oh, we did this wrong. And I think especially for someone calling EMS for the first time, it's like that's scary to be responsible for, or like, what if I don't know everything to do? What if I don't execute everything perfectly? But here are the things that people did really well.
Yeah.
The number one answer was composure and how I handled myself and my emotions.
Yeah.
Like staying calm for the athlete. The number two answer was very similar, but in the opposite way, keeping the kid calm despite freaking out inside.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, keeping the kid calm is awesome.
That's really what like our number one job is.
Yeah. I mean, they're scared.
Exactly. And then the third top answer was working as a team / communication across the healthcare team, like ATs, EMS, docs, etc.
Yeah.
Some other ones that I liked were communication with athlete the whole time. I think this is so important. Lack of hesitation and instinct to take action. All the info I gathered, how I presented info / transferred care to EMS. And also lastly, advocating for the athlete to EMS.
Nice.
We got this anonymous advice. They said, I know I switched to the dark side, academia, but a piece of advice I got from a mentor I still use. If you think you should call 911, you should call 911.
I think that's a good rule of thumb in life in general. If you think something's sketch, it's probably sketch.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you think you should call 911, you probably need to call 911.
That's how I do it with our dress code. I'm like, if you have to ask me if you should wear it, don't wear it.
You probably shouldn't.
Kaleb B, you want to read this one from Kaleb B?
Yeah, Kaleb says, first time calling, I was a first-year GA with the soccer team. We left the day after physicals to an island off of Georgia. Into training on the beach, thought I had a heart condition, so I called EMS. Ended up being pleurisy. The way I handled it won me a lot of points with the coaches since they were used to first-year GAs who typically were more hesitant and less confident. I heard of pleurisy previously, but didn't know the symptoms were similar to a heart condition. Didn't know that it could apply pressure to the heart. I learned a ton that day.
See, I like this one a lot because, well, first of all, I had never heard of a pleurisy before Kaleb shared the story. So I was like, immediately Google. Yeah, let me look what this is. But second, like, you don't have to know all the answers to make the right call.
Correct.
I'm going to say it again. You don't have to know all the answers to make the right call or to even make the call.
Yeah.
Like, there's no harm in calling EMS and having everything be okay and then EMS going away. Actually, Alberto kind of talks about this too. He says, honestly, it was the decision to call EMS, even though it wasn't deemed necessary. There's times in life where certain people don't understand or perhaps are unaware of the situation at hand, and sometimes having that extra help, such as calling EMS, could be a good tool to have in your corner as a just in case. The last thing you want to do is call EMS when it's too late, and now you're stuck with a more stressful situation at hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, it's a blessing when they come as quickly as possible, because sometimes, like, they will run into hiccups. Like, I had the second EMS call, I guess technically, when I was holding C-spine. We had an EMS crew that was locked behind a gate for 20 minutes.
No.
And I think the reason why was because the school that we were at, they had just called 911 the day prior as well. And EMS took a different route and didn't use that locked gate. So when they went this way and they went behind the area that had a locked gate, it was a scramble to try to find someone who had that key.
Yep.
So even like, you know, they already did this. It's a new crew. You never know who's going to arrive.
Yeah.
You never know if they know where they're going, or like if you could flag someone down, or I mean, if you have people who even know where they're going to flag EMS down, or if they know where EMS is supposed to go, or even if like, oh, can EMS drive this way or can they not drive this way? Can the stanchions be pulled up? Can they not be pulled up? Things that you'd like to find out ahead of time, but what if you can't?
Yeah.
A question box I asked was, describe in one word what your experience was. I actually was surprised that we got several repeats, so I'm going to share some of those repeats. Affirming.
Which I'd agree with that.
Nerve-wracking, interesting, and chaotic were all repeats. Some other ones that I kind of like put into categories. One of them was surreal, weird, mind-blowing, and wild. Another category, overwhelming, nervous, slow motion, terrifying, and harrowing.
The slow motion's a good one too.
Yeah. And validating.
Oh, that's another good one. Validating.
Speaking of, do you want to read this one from Josh B?
Yeah, Josh says, so first day of practices starting in my first year certified working at the high school setting. I had an athlete go from volleyball practice to tennis practice to flag football practice, all without eating anything more than a spoonful of oatmeal and some water.
No.
Athlete asked for food, which I didn't have on me, but I had some glucose tablets, so I gave her a few. After about 5 minutes, she felt better and went back out to practice and started feeling worse. She walked up to me and started looking pale and clammy. I was going to offer her some more glucose tablets when she passed out.
No.
Oh, no. I had coach call EMS and we laid her down with her feet elevated. She started feeling better as soon as EMS got there and they checked her out. Parents declined transport and she went home. With it being the first day, I feel like it really set us up to feel comfortable if I had to do it again in a more stressful situation.
You know, for the most part, because I don't want to put a blanket statement on this, but because I've had to call 911 so many times on my first days of several different jobs, I feel like it really does set the tone. And almost like a first impression.
Yeah.
If you are calm and if you keep the athlete calm, it doesn't really matter beyond that.
Yeah.
If the coaches can trust that you can handle an emergency situation, boom. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of uphill from there.
Yeah.
Like you set the foundation. And I really feel like this is exactly what Josh is talking about, which actually, funny enough, Josh is actually, he was a student volunteer with me several years ago.
Oh, nice.
So seeing him be certified, having his first EMS call, super cool. Going through the entire program, like, I knew him before he was even in a master's program, so seeing that is like super cool.
Nice. That's really dope.
And like getting the story that's like, oh, my first EMS call is a certified. Wait, what? This is so cool to see.
So speaking of passing out, that just reminded me, I had an assistant coach pass out one time.
You know, it's always awkward when like it's a coach and you're like, how much do you want me to like?
Yeah, he like he jacked up his ankle pretty good. Like it was it was a pretty good sprain. Like he messed this thing up and he wasn't feeling great. So I said, all right, well, let's lay you down. We iced it and stuff. And then fit him for the boot. And so he's in the boot, stands up, I'm getting ready to like, all right, like we're done here. Like you can like you're just keep icing and stuff like that. And as we're starting to walk, I'm looking like, or when I stood him up, you could see it happening. You could see he's starting to go down. So he goes down, I lower him to the floor. And when he comes back, he's like, what? And like he looked confused. He's like, why am I on the floor?
Oh.
I was like, hey buddy.
Good morning.
So you passed out? He's like, I did? I'm like, yeah.
Do you feel better now?
Yeah. First of all, that is the best nap.
I don't think I've ever passed out.
It's the best 10-second
I've gotten
nap ever.
Really close. But I don't think I've ever actually officially. So I don't know what that feels like.
So it's the lead up's not great.
No, the lead up really sucks.
Yeah, it does. That's when you know, like, oh, I need to lay down.
There's been a time that Randy all of a sudden out of the blue goes, I need to lay down. And he just lays down. And I was like, are you okay?
I was about to drop.
Randy was about to pass out.
Well, the worst is when you're on an airplane.
Or that.
Because you can't lay down.
So the last question I did ask on our Instagram story was, if you were to go back and do it again, would you change anything about the first time you called EMS?
No.
60% of people said no, which actually I was kind of surprised this wasn't higher because, you know, when you're taking a test and they're like, don't change your answer, like go with your gut. Like that's what you should do. I'm surprised that more people weren't like, no, I wouldn't change it. Like that people are like, oh, actually, like I would. But I wonder how much of this is that like hindsight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't actually put this one first originally, but I'm remembering it right now. And I totally would love to put this one first because I think he puts it really well. Alberto H says, no. Like I mentioned before, we are human. We try to do and make the best decision at that time. Of course, you're going to make mistakes. Of course, you're going to learn something new every time. But at the end of the day, you have to be present in those moments and make the best decision that you can with the knowledge that you have. After all, that is what accumulates experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what kind of shapes you into what the clinician and person that you are going forward. So I wouldn't change anything.
We stress this so much with our students. Like, you can only make the decision based off of what you know at the time.
Yeah.
Like, it is so unfair to put that on yourself.
Yeah.
Alicia K says, I was working a summer wrestling camp. Had a kid that felt a pop in his knee and then couldn't feel anything, even with pain stimuli, below the knee. Turns out he tore his ACL, meniscus, and LCL. It was also the first event in a new facility, so I didn't have the address memorized and the EMS didn't have it in the GPS. They end up calling me back and I was able to direct them.
Oh, nice.
But if I were to go back and do it again, checking the address beforehand and directing EMS better.
That's fair.
I'll take that one. I feel like it's not necessarily about like that you didn't have the information. Like, I feel like those are things that's like, I mean, all the time you're going to be looking back and be like, oh, I need to make this better for the future.
Yeah.
Like, what's the likelihood that you're going to be working at a place that's like not even in the GPS yet?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Actually,
They're supposed to have all the answers.
That just happened to one of our new buildings. But EMS happened to be eating like literally like next door.
Oh,
like
nice.
Their rig was kind of next door, but
lucky.
our new building didn't have numbers on it. So we were actually just talking with our campus safety and our EMS director about how like they already worked it out, because they were like, oh, like we found this like hole in these plans, right? But being able to like adjust in things that you don't see.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought like, oh, we need building numbers on this right away?
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
Hayley S says, I would increase my patience, really focus on the athlete and not on the other nuances around.
Yeah, that's the one thing, patience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because like, I feel like, the emergency, and now you're just like, okay, let's get going.
Right.
We got
Everything kind of feels slow.
Yeah. For sure.
You're like, okay, you can get here now.
Yeah, you can get here now.
Next
Let's go.
step. Okay.
Okay, why are we still here? You can take them now.
Right.
I packaged them.
We're like, okay, I've run out of things to talk with them.
I've packaged them. They're good to go.
Okay, let's go.
If it fits and ships. Like,
Yeah.
USPS doesn't have a problem with this. Let's go.
Nick says, just being more confident in what I was seeing and the confidence in the necessity of calling them. They aren't grading you and it's not class anymore, so deliver as much relevant info as possible. They aren't trying to test you, LOL.
Correct.
No, they really aren't.
No.
And most of the time it's going to be a new like EMS crew anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like you're getting the same one over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll see you at the next game.
Yeah. Every now and then you'll see someone that you're like, hey, I can't remember. I feel like that guy's familiar.
Mm. When I was calling EMS a ton, it was like all different counties. So I feel like I didn't really have that experience.
Yeah.
Except for, oh no, even in my one job where it has multiple, I think it was just whoever was on shift.
Yeah.
Joshua C. says, while I was proud of the quick action, it left me shaken. Looking back on it now, I should have seen a therapist to help deal with the emotional strain and the PTSD of hearing the screams and dreams. It took about a month before I started feeling like I was managing it better. I took up meditating to relax, which helped a little. I also would journal out the good things I did each day. I was a GA and was on my own in another school. I luckily had some professors who I could talk to about the instance, and they helped to assure I did everything I could. I think seeing the student athletes, coaches, and admin each day kind of helped reaffirm my abilities.
Yeah, for sure.
I think sometimes it's hard not to go into like a hole of isolation, and that being around others can really help a lot.
Yeah.
But I think at the time, again, like what we were saying, even in this situation, like with what you know, like maybe I don't know anything if like this person has gone to therapy before, or like, hindsight is
2020.
Exactly. Like you can really either look on it in a like negative way and like, man, I should have done this, or like in the future I will change this.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's how we grow. Yeah,
for sure.
But I think it's like, this is such a real take, like recognizing like, hey, this is what I need, and like I wish I would have done it sooner, but like this is like I was able to manage with like the resources that I had at the time.
Yeah.
Jennifer T says, first job out of college, secondary school athletic trainer, preseason football scrimmage.
Of course.
Subdural hematoma.
Oh no.
I knew the situation was bad, especially when he didn't respond to the triceps pinch and sternal rub. It took forever, 12 minutes, for EMS to arrive. I would have been more vocal and in control of the situation. It was very emotional for those involved. I think as a new AT, confidence was a big factor. A nurse came down from the crowd and was trying to help.
Now, I wonder if that was actually like helpful or no.
That is a good... One time I did have a doctor come in. I'm actually trying to remember what happened. Okay, I have this idea of what happened. I don't know exactly because this was a long time ago, but I feel like it was after a cross-country race and the kid's lips turned blue. And I was like, I have no idea. Like, so I just took a bunch of vitals and like his vitals were chilling. And so were even like pulse ox and everything. And I was like, usually that's like not getting oxygen. So, but there was a physician father who came by and I was like, perfect. Can you look at this?
Yeah.
Cause like he introduced himself and like, and I was like, actually, yeah, like I will take you up on this offer. Cause the kid ended up going to urgent care, I think, but I was definitely like above. This is I'm gonna call 911 if like, but he was all stable, so I was like, but it was also per diem, so I was like, I just don't really, I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah,
it's weird. I haven't seen it before. If I'm like, it's not about me, it's about the kid, and like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Last one. You want to read it?
Yes, this one's by Meghan M. I would have confirmed that they were not currently responding to a call at another location. College summer camps, early 2000s. We were at a large campus with multiple events. Apparently, I called 911 within minutes of someone else from a different field, which led me to hold C-spine for 45 minutes before the second ambulance arrived. Took 30 minutes for EMS to put together that it was 2 calls to the same campus to 2 different locations. The grad assistant AT came to help eventually. I couldn't stand afterwards because my lower legs were numb.
That's how I felt, but I only held for 20 minutes.
Oh, that's still a long time.
I know.
This is why I never go on knees, #lessons learned. I always lay prone now. I start just laying down instead of kneeling and just flip your hands so when you roll them, your hands will be upright after the roll. For example, if left ear is up, put your left hand on top and vice versa.
Yeah, now I want to practice this because I don't ever go prone. I usually start on my knees.
Yeah.
And I end on my knees. And actually something that after the first time I held C-spine, this kid was also concussed and he kept trying to get up. So trying to just like hold him down and like it's not just stabilizing, but like also holding him down. My pecs were so sore the next day.
Yeah.
And then I also like couldn't, my legs were numb. So like trying to get up, I was like, oh, I need to take a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. I need to take a second. Okay. I think I'm ready to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, like, you can be stuck there for a long time. Like, who knows if, like, 12 minutes if you think about that, like, 12 minutes just being in a, like, high adrenaline situation, let alone being in one spot.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Like, 12
sure.
minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, like... It's a long, especially if you're in somewhere rural where the response time is not as well, or if you're in somewhere where the response time is usually short and it ends up being long, which is what happened to me. Like, you just never know.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Do you have any more first-time EMS stories or anything?
I don't think so.
I did have some advice from we put together a because I ask these on Instagram and we put them in our stories. I did put together what's it called? What is this channel thing called? Broadcast channel. As you can tell, we are new to this broadcast channel thing, but you can join the broadcast channel. There's only just over 50 members right now, but basically this is a spot where it will send you a message when we put up the story prompts on Instagram. So that way you can never miss a story prompt, so you can submit your stories. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a good way for people to not miss our story prompts as we start posting in our stories a little bit more of things other than stories. I'd like to get some more people, because I think we only got a few responses on our last poll, when we usually in our big stories, like all of these polls, we got like a couple hundred on. So like I'd really like to grow this group and really be able to ask you guys more polls and stuff like that. So join that. You can see the advice that people put in there. And I think other than that, I think that's the last thing I had for the stories.
Nice.
But if you guys are new, we do not just story episodes. We do lots of different episode types, which you can check out on our latest post that's pinned up at the top in the introducing us. It kind of gives an overview of each type of episode that we do. But one of the things that we do is interview episodes. Another one is CEU episodes. So all of our latest episodes, I believe our latest 5 episodes, are always free through our partner Clinically Pressed and Athletic Training Chat. So check those out in the show notes through all of those. And then we also have, I think, over 35 CEUs available now, which is like over half of what, and they're all category A. So, but most of the old ones are purchasable, and usually they're like $3, $5, $7, like affordable. I think really affordable. So check those out, and half of those proceeds go to the show, and so we can keep doing this, which is super awesome. We have so many more things in store for this season. The biggest thank you that we can give to you guys is to keep doing this, and the biggest thank you can share back with us is sharing with a friend, because we'd really like to grow this community. So if you could just share with one person, it'd mean the world to us. And I think that's all I have for the end of this today. Do you have anything else, Randy?
Nope. Thank you for helping us showcase athletic training behind the tape. Bye.